What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Maya. I'm an online coach and athleisure enthusiast, and generally my channel is a lot about athleisure. Now I've been away for the last couple of weeks for reasons that I'm about to go into, but just a heads up, if you are a returning visitor, this channel is about to get a lot more sciencey and a lot more wellness. So if you're just here for the booty and spandex, then this is your invitation to. Don't get me wrong, still going to be doing my athleisure hauls, but I am going to be incorporating a lot more of the sort of like wellness and lifestyle stuff. So this has come about because, as I've mentioned a few times now, I am an online coach. Now this is something that I've actually ventured into quite recently, and I'll give you a little bit of a backstory about myself, which will all feed into what we're talking about today, so just bear with me. So I started personal training years ago, hated it. Absolutely hated the commercial gym setup, absolutely hated doing sales, and I was also struggling with my own body goals, and so that kind of really knocked my confidence. But over time, getting to know like women's bodies a little bit better, I decided to have another go at it, and this time it's been really successful. Not only am I super grateful for that, but it made me kind of like take a look back at myself yet again. So as you may or may not know, I have been on a gut healing journey for the past 10 weeks. I've had some really fantastic results from that. I've been working with an excellent gut specialist called Jamie, and just as I suspected, by going on this journey, I was going to find out so much more than my gut status. So it turns out, after being advised to take a special range of blood tests by Jamie, I discovered that I've actually got hypothyroidism. Now, I actually laugh because one thing I am is I'm very straight up and straightforward and honest with people. And I actually had somebody come to me recently, not recently, like maybe like 2 months ago. She actually asked me if I can help her, and she said that she's got hypothyroidism. And I very honestly said to her that I don't have experience with hypothyroidism. And so you might be better off finding somebody else, you know, because I don't want to waste anybody's time and promise something that I can't deliver. Turns out I actually have lots of experience with hypothyroidism because it's something that I now suspect I've been suffering with for quite a few years. So just for anybody that doesn't know what hypothyroidism is, I'll just talk to you a little bit about what the thyroid does. So the thyroid produces thyroid hormone, funny that. So that produces thyroid hormone, and what thyroid hormone does is essentially it's your like your heating system for your body essentially. So it regulates your body temperature. It determines how quickly you burn calories. It basically either speeds up your body processes or slows them down. So in my case, it's hypo, so it slows it down. There's a couple of different ways that you can come across hypothyroidism. There's 3 in total, but I'm just going to quickly recap 2 because I think they're the most applicable. There's one that can kind of come about through extended periods of dieting. So this can kind of like look like symptoms of metabolic damage, which I've spoken about in previous videos. I'll link it above. But if you've been chronically dieting over a long time, that can cause your thyroid to slow down, and so that's kind of like a lifestyle thing that you can change. Or sometimes it's because your body's not making enough thyroid hormone. That's the 3rd one. I lied. Or the one that is actually a very common reason for women to have hypothyroidism is because of an autoimmune condition called Hashimotos. And this is where immune cells in your body are mistaking your thyroid gland for a foreign body, and so they're attacking it, and so that is slowing down the amount of thyroid hormone that you're producing. So that last one that I just spoke about, that's the one that I've got. So it's Hashimotos. Me being a bit of a biology nerd, I'm actually quite excited about this because, one, I feel like I finally found that missing piece. When I started coaching again, I was blown away at how quickly and easily my girls were getting results. And I was like, hang on a second, they're getting the same results in like 8-10 weeks. It's taken me like months to get. And you know, no shade, happy for you. No, I'm joking. But again, it just kind of highlighted, I was like, look, there's something going on with me where it's just holding me back. And before I thought to myself, okay, like get on top of the gut health, that's gonna sort it out. And yes, that has done excellent things for me. Just quickly pop an image up on the screen of what I've achieved. I'm just doing a gut healing protocol. But even still, I was just like, you know, I go hard in the gym. I don't have a huge appetite, so I'm not overeating. Why am I having to tread such a fine line to maintain my figure? So once I ran these special blood tests, and again, I just want to highlight, this video is going to be a little bit all over the place. I did get my notebook out to make some notes, but I thought to myself, do you know what? I just want to be candid about this. One of the things that I really want to drive home for any women that are watching this is I've had my thyroid tested a number of times. Anytime I've had blood tests done at the doctors, they run a thyroid panel, which will include your T4, your T3 and your TSH. Now, that is not enough to pick up something like Hashimoto's, because actually, probably because of my lifestyle and probably because of the way that I train, the amount of T3 and T4 were not bad. However, it's only by running this special test that I got to see that I've got the thyroid antibodies. So I just kind of wanted to say that if you are sort of like suspecting that you've got any sort of thyroid condition, whether it be hyper or hypo, don't just rely on your GP tests, at least not the ones in the UK. Don't just rely on those alone, because I just feel like they kind of run those on a very sort of general basis. They're basing all the results off of normal ranges, which are based on a population of people that they're not in optimal health. So many people sort of like running around with like diabetes, high blood pressure, all these different things, and that won't be taken into account when they come up with these normal ranges. As well as that, I do think that ranges can be quite individual for the person, so it's kind of worth sort of like knowing what your ranges are so that you can spot any time when things are going up or down. So this is how hypothyroidism has shown up for me personally. Number one, difficulty losing weight. Now, luckily for me, I love to train and I eat well 80% of the time. Because of that, because of my nutrition background, all that sort of stuff, I do feel like that's gone a long way in keeping me in reasonable shape. But as I mentioned earlier, I have always felt like I'm on like a bit of a back step. So when I was younger, I used to hate sport. I didn't get into the gym until I actually left school. And so I always used to think, oh, you know, it's because I didn't do sports when I was younger, so I don't have that athletic foundation, blah, blah, blah. So I always just thought that, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. I'm a bit softer in my body type and that's fine. And that being said, anytime when I have sort of like changed my body any sort of drastic amount, it's always taken quite a big change for me to do it. You know, unlike the women that I've been coaching, it's not just a case of decreasing a couple of 100 calories here and there and increasing your steps. No, that does not work for me. That hasn't worked for me. So yeah, essentially hypothyroidism, the number one thing that it's done for me is slow down my metabolism. Secondly, hypothyroidism has made it more difficult for me to build muscle. So over the past 2 or 3 years, I've actually been competing in powerlifting. But again, I haven't sort of like blown up, unfortunately. Like when I got into powerlifting, I was like, you know, I want massive quads and I want massive glutes. And yeah, again, you know, got stronger, did get bigger, but not sort of like, you know, blowing up like I thought I was going to. And when I was powerlifting, I was eating so much food as well, but still just not sort of like blowing up. And the reason for that is what I'm about to go into now. So the third thing that showed up for me was estrogen dominance, and that's something that I've known that I have been for a long time. So again, you know, my lifestyle has probably played a lot into how this has kind of like gone below the radar for a long time. Because I've always known that I'm estrogen dominant, I have taken sort of like precautions to manage that over time. But again, estrogen dominance, if you are estrogen dominant, you are going to have difficulty losing weight and you are going to be have difficulty building muscle, as well as a few other things in terms of like mood and, you know, monthly stuff. So I would look at, so that would be the third thing in my experience that I would look out for if you are sort of like known to have like, you know, terrible mood swings around your period. If you have been getting other symptoms of estrogen dominance, like, you know, tender breasts, even anxiety is a massive one with estrogen dominance as well. Right. But also any reproductive disorders like fibroids, endometriosis. Those are another couple of things that hypothyroidism does sort of like dance quite closely with. So if you are suffering with any of those and you have been to your GP and they have told you your thyroid's fine, take the extra step, save yourself the years of spinning your wheels in the gym, and go and get that extra check done. So we are now 17 minutes of raw footage into it. I do want to make this kind of short video, so I'm just going to quickly go into the things that I'm doing immediately to support my body in its newfound state. So number one is I'm completely eliminating coffee. No, I say completely. I do like to have a coffee every now and again. I have gone through phases where I'm drinking coffee every single day. Luckily, whenever I kind of like come away from coffee, I've never kind of like had all those symptoms that a lot of people talk about, like the headaches and all that sort of stuff. So it's not really a big issue for me to cut out coffee. But if I do fancy a coffee like once or twice a month, then, you know, I'm gonna have it. Number two is I'm focusing on the health of my liver, supporting my liver as much as I can. So your liver is your main metabolic organ. That's where all like the processing and metabolizing happens, in the liver. If the liver is sluggish, then you're not going to be metabolizing optimally. So given that hypo slows everything down, you want to kind of support your metabolic organs as much as you can. That's kind of where coffee comes into it, because coffee is quite taxing on the liver. Also alcohol, refined sugar, and an excess of carbohydrates. Next, I'm going to be reducing my training volume. Definitely not doing so much cardio, and also reducing the intensity of my strength training sessions. So unfortunately for now, powerlifting is parked. I am literally doing strength training. I'm not even doing like lots and lots of volume at the moment. It's literally just strength training, getting in, move my body 3 times a week, maintaining my muscle, going for a bit of hypertrophy, but definitely not going for those RPE 9 0 reps in reserve sessions week in, week out. No. When it comes to cardio, it's not going to be a case of doing more is more. When it comes to hypothyroidism, there is a propensity for high cortisol. And as we know, like extended periods of cardio sessions, they do increase your cortisol levels. So when I do cardio, they're going to be shorter sessions, more intense. So I'm going to be doing them completely separate from my strength training days, moving my body 6 times a week in some way, and having 1 complete rest day per week. And lastly, not depriving myself with calories. Even though my hypothyroidism hasn't come about from chronic dieting, one thing that I will say is that whenever I have done any sort of like calorie restriction, I do notice that I feel colder. I do notice that my sleep isn't as good. And I do notice that I'm more anxious as well. So that those 3 things do tell me it's quite easy for my thyroid to slow down when I'm chronically dieting. So when I do want to move into a fat loss phase, it's better for me to focus on movement, not necessarily more cardio, but more NEAT. So just making sure that I'm actually moving more throughout the day, but really not going too far with calorie restriction whatsoever. So one of the things that I've noticed during my process with Jamie is that during the weeks that I haven't managed to do all my cardio, I actually look leaner. So there's another indicator that my body just doesn't like, you know, too much cardio. But as I say, now that we've got this diagnosis, everything is starting to make sense. So right now I'm just about to go to the gym. I'm going to be doing a modified version of my usual training. So not much is going to change. It's just going to be a case of reducing the volume, reducing the amount of time that I spend in the gym, reducing the intensity. But apart from that, like the actual exercises, you know, the focus of the training is still going to be the same. I think the takeaway for me, so a pattern that I've noticed over the years with anything is that when I attack something really hard, whether it be like a work project, a fitness project, whatever, if I go in at the rate that my brain wants to go in, my body will usually, you know, say, no, you need to slow down, and it will just kind of like get overwhelmed and basically just like crash for a week or 2. And I've spoken about this in one of my previous videos. So now that I know this key piece of information about myself, it's given me permission to be a lot kinder to myself and just take things a lot slower. At the end of the day, it's not a race. But saying that, the fastest way to get to your goal in a sustainable way is to work with your body. And my body likes to do things slow. So that's what we're gonna do. It's lucky that I love it, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not here for a quick fix, and I actually just find it all very, very fascinating, and I'm actually just really excited to see how these small tweaks, you know, change things for me. Also just keen to like get to know the process, you know, from the inside, being somebody with the condition. I'm actually just so keen to learn everything about it and apply those things to my clients as well. And hopefully the next time somebody comes to me and says, can you help me with my hypothyroid? I'll be like, yeah, I can. So that's it for today. I'm going to film this workout. I'm going to put it up for my next video. So if you want to check that out, then feel free. If any of this has resonated for you, I'm just going to leave some more information in the description box. So you can find out a little bit more about the condition, you know, see if it relates to you. I'm also going to leave a link to the place where I got my blood test done so that you can, you know, go and get yourself checked yourself. That way it just takes out the guesswork, gives you something to work with, and just stops you from spinning your wheels. So I'm going to leave all that information in the description box below. Make sure you come back and check out how I'm going to be adapting my workout for a hypothyroid body. And until next time, I'll see you next time.